Back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. It's finally done, and I think we thought it would get done, but you never know. Kyle Rudolph is signed with the Minnesota Vikings, so we can tell you what that means instead of just speculating about whether it would happen or not. This is the Viking Update show starring Tim Yotter, publisher of VikingUpdate.com. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. This is our Vikings show on TalkNorth.com. We also have the Jeff Diamond Vikings and NFL Insider for the executive view of the team and the league. Check that out as well. But let's get right into it, Tim. The Kyle Rudolph deal gets done. Did anything surprise you about either the process or the result?
Not really the process. I don't think it was an easy deal to do. I think it took about a month and a half of negotiation. And throughout that, there were, a lot of rumors of the Vikings perhaps looking to trade or at least fielding calls about their interest in trading him. Of course, we've seen it constantly from New England with Rob Gronkowski's retirement and a couple other injuries over there that they need a tight end. And so everybody started speculating that the Patriots would be the ones to come in. I just don't think that, the Patriots were probably interested in paying a big salary plus giving up, let's just say, a second or third round draft pick to get Rudolph in when he's going to be 30 during the season. What surprised me a little bit about the deal is that he actually gets more money this year, yet the salary cap hit goes down for him. So, I think the way that they can do that, and I'm not sure all the details have really come forward on this, it was presented as a 4-year, $36 million deal, so you average $9 million a year. $9 million is basically what he's going to get this year. However, they were able to lower their salary cap number on him by about $4 million. I think what they ended up doing was taking base salary for this year, which was just over $7 million a year. You convert that into a signing bonus, and that money spreads over the life of that contract. Now, we don't know exactly how they structured it, and even if we knew, they could certainly redo that next year. What it comes down to, in my mind, is they've got Kyle Rudolph for sure for this year, which I think is an important part of their offense. And then you see how it goes. Most likely, I would guess, 2020, he's still here. And after that, maybe not. So I think it's just a matter of how quickly does Irv Smith come along? How does the offense in general look? And frankly, do they still have the same coaching staff at that point? Because although Mike Zimmer got an extension on his contract, there's always the possibility that if things go downhill this year, which they aren't expected to, but if they don't make the playoffs again, his job's certainly in jeopardy. So there's a lot of open parts of this whole deal that remain to be seen.
Thanks to Twill in the Edina Galleria. I was there the other day. SodaStick.com, your cool Minnesota-themed sports apparel. Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. And BiteSquad.com. Promo code is TalkNorth for your first delivery fee waived. How do you think Rudolph handled the whole thing?
I don't think he could have handled it any better myself. He talked several times in the last, let's say, 6 weeks about the rumors that were spreading about a trade, and he handled that beautifully, saying, look, he wants to be in Minnesota, obviously family and all that, but he realizes it's a business and trades happen. And so I think he played it well. Both for the fan base and for the negotiations. And I say that because if he just came in and said, a month ago, I want to be in Minnesota and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do it, well, now all of a sudden all his leverage is gone. So him saying that he's entertaining the possibility of a trade and he's open to it, I think that helps his negotiating team, his agents, when they approach the Vikings. But ultimately, I think he really did want to be in Minnesota. He's got a very nice home here. He's established himself probably more so than anybody else in the community on this team, just with all the charity work that he does. And, I think it would have been a bad look for the Vikings if they would have traded him for peanuts or really played hardball in these negotiations, given how much they were pumping him up as their Walter Payton Man of the Year last year. To me, it looks really bad if an organization in November and December is saying, what a great guy, and we love this guy, and look at everything he does for the community. And then come March, April, May, you're looking to cut him off at the knees because you think he's making too much. So I think both sides kind of got a win-win out of this. They needed Kyle Rudolph this year, in my opinion. I realize he's not, an elite tight end, but he's a very good tight end who makes a lot of sense in this offense. And with a lot of the younger guys that they have in the locker room, especially at his position, he's a good guy to have teaching them.
Agreed completely. I'm glad it got done. It made I always thought it was going to get done, and none of the stances anybody took surprised me or I thought were out of line. It was just a negotiation, and it ended up in a pretty good place, I think. Let's get into what the contract means for this team right now. I do want to thank Twill in the Edina Gallery at twillmn.com, TWILL on Instagram. I basically keep building out my I never really had a wardrobe before, but now I actually have a wardrobe. When you have a bunch of sweats in the closet, you can't call it a wardrobe. Now I have nice clothes thanks to Twill.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
So I've been asked by, they got the Rudolph deal done. That means they can go out and get somebody, right? No, this is really more creating spaces so you can function, right?
Yeah, before the Rudolph deal, they had $611,000 in salary cap space. And when you think about it, you really can't even sign a vested veteran for that amount. Now, you go in, right now they're working under the off-season salary cap, which is top 51 players. Once you get to the top 53 players, that could change. But they also need some money to sign their practice squad. And you really want to have at least $2 to $3 million going into the season where if you have an injury and you absolutely need to get a veteran, you're not confident that one of the younger guys is ready to step into the starting lineup, you can do that. Or, for instance, let's look at last year. You had Daniel Carlson. You thought he was going to be your kicker. He botches the Green Bay game for them, and they cut him. Now you got to go sign a veteran. Well, Dan Bailey's a veteran that they signed. If they would have gone into last year with $600,000 in salary cap space, they wouldn't have even been able to make that move. So I don't think this is one of those situations where, now they've got, $400 or $4.5 million in salary cap space. Who's the next one to sign an extension? That only makes sense if you can sign somebody for a low price that you really want to have around for 2 or 3 more years and is on the last year of his deal. This is really more, as you said, about being able to function financially and maneuver your roster a little bit heading into the regular season.
They do have some interesting decisions coming up.
Yep.
I do think that Stephen Weatherly is primed to have a really good season this year. You have Trey Waynes getting near the end of his contract. As you've listed, Anthony Harris, Dan Bailey, and of course, on the other Viking show on this network, Jeff Diamond pointed out that, if you need to save more money, maybe Laquan Treadwell is a guy you cut at the end of training camp.
I wouldn't be too surprised if that happens, and I say that because I see other guys emerging more than Treadwell as the number 3 receiver. Just based off of the 3 OTA sessions I saw over the last month, We're 2 out of 3 mini camp practices in here on Wednesday as we record this. The Jordan Taylor, to me, looks like he is a very good complementary number 3 type of receiver who can step into this offense and catch as many or more balls than Laquan Treadwell. Chad Beebe has looked very good in OTAs and minicamp. I talked to him after Wednesday's practice, and he's very acutely aware that his body type says he's a slot receiver. And so that's how he would have to operate. You're not going to see him on the outside much. But, the conflicting part about that for me is I like what Beebe brings as a slot receiver. But if you're doing that, that means fewer reps for Adam Thielen as a slot receiver. And Thielen really has done a lot of good work from the slot. So I like the option of having both Beebe and Jordan Taylor, who, by the way, wasn't participating in minicamp, apparently some sort of minor injury. But Jordan Taylor is 6'5", completely different type of receiver than Chad Beebe. So if you have both of those guys, now, okay, if you want Beebe in the slot, you want a quick guy, and you want Thielen on the outside, then Beebe's your third receiver. If you want Thielen in the slot and you want a tall outside receiver who can go up, make some jump ball catches on the sideline, Jordan Taylor's very good at that. So I really see both of those two guys stepping in front of Laquan Treadwell, and the way that they've functioned throughout the last couple of weeks here at camp, it tells me they're sort of priming up to that spot. So I think, yes, it could just be a message to Laquan Treadwell, but if he doesn't accept that message and step things up in his game, he's really a very borderline guy on this roster. And, they've got a couple of other younger rookie-type receivers, 2 7th-round picks, B.C. Johnson, Dylan Mitchell, and another guy that I really like and I think is starting to step forward, although he's been limited with a hamstring injury in minicamp, Jeff Badette. He's he's a speedster, and he spent last year kind of getting to know the offense, worked on the practice squad. A lot of speed. I think he told me last night it was a 4.22 is what he runs. If he gets to the point where he's able to read defenses and be where he's supposed to be, which is the biggest challenge for a young receiver like him, he's got a chance to make the roster too. Okay, so now there's Beebe, Jordan Taylor, Jeff Badette, Thielen, Diggs. You're at 5 receivers. And if that's what they keep, and you have, say, a Dylan Mitchell or Olabisi Johnson on the practice squad, where's Laquan Treadwell fit in? Given his salary and their salary cap situation, I could definitely see him being a roster bubble guy.
So many more. It's amazing. We're sitting here in June, and there are all these fascinating Viking topics. I have more I want to get to. I do want to thank SodaStick.com. It's SOTA as in Minnesota, SodaStick.com. They're putting out tons of baseball stuff right now, including the Bomba shirts. They have one from Buxton. It looks like a Hot Wheels car. They have the Tortuga shirt. Even if Astudillo isn't in the big leagues, he's still a great character and still love the shirts. They do so much with baseball. They do hockey. They do soccer. Of course, we're talking about football on this show. And they have the Skull shirt with the cool Minnesota-themed logo. They now have Skull in red, white, and blue. They have double-sided flags for all the local sports. They have outdoor stuff. They have trucker hats. They have hockey stick plunger. I don't know how anybody could live without a hockey stick plunger. They have the blade shades, the original hockey stick bottle opener. They have hockey stick spatula and bottle opener. But they have a lot of Minnesota football-themed stuff, whether it's capturing the axe or whether it's Skull. Check out sodastick.com. Cousins kind of opened himself up a little bit this week.
He did, and I appreciate that because I felt like, during the offseason last year, I thought he was pretty open and honest about where things were. So we're going to have to see how things go as they go into the season. But last year during the season, I felt like, the harder things got for the Vikings, the less responsibility he wanted to accept for it. And so I was glad to hear him talk about today when he was asked about play action passes and what does he need to do to take his game to the next level. he basically echoed things that Mike Zimmer had talked about in the offseason, which were